Welcome and to the 2022 Annual General Membership Meeting. My name is Jocelyn Cordell, and I'm currently serving as the Special Assistant to the CEO at NPCA. It's a pleasure to welcome you here and to share this event with you. Over the course of today, you will hear NPCA staff share programming and operational updates, celebrate with us the recipients of awards from Women of Peace Corps Legacy and NPCA, discuss next steps for the passage of significant peace forward legislation, and hear directly from a representative of the Peace Corps regarding the next steps for the agency in re-engaging with a changed world through return to service. The Zoom chat will be open throughout the event for participants to be able to engage. We kindly ask in the spirit of community that everyone engages in a constructive manner, respecting the views and opinions of all community members. Please see a message in the chat for additional information. Unfortunately, due to the size of the audience today and the capacity of staff, NPCA presenters will not be able to engage in real time with members of the participants today. However, the chat will be saved and there will be an opportunity to engage directly with NPCA presenters immediately after the meeting adjourns in optional breakout rooms at the end of the session. Prior to the breakout rooms, the program is expected to run today for 90 minutes. In accordance with our bylaws, section 3.8, the annual general membership meeting is formally presided over by the NPCA board chair. Please allow me to formally introduce our new board chair, John Lee Evans, who is currently in Washington, D.C. with our interim CEO, Dan Baker, for this meeting. A board-elected director since his election in July, John is an RPCV who served in Honduras from 1975 to 1978, where he worked with rural school teachers and agricultural cooperative leaders in a community development agency. With a PhD in clinical psychology, John is an active practitioner who has been in private practice for 30 years. As a member of the San Diego Unified School Board for 12 years and as president for 3, John oversaw a diverse student body of over 100,000 students with an operational budget of $1.2 billion. Please join me in warmly welcoming John to the stage, who has also been featured on the Jobs with Jody podcast that you will hear about a little later today. John, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jocelyn. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm very excited to be here at the Peace Corps office in Washington, D.C. With our interim president and CEO, Dan Baker. We're both here and happy to see you at this time. At this time, I'm going to call to order the meeting with the establishment of, we have a quorum of 100 members present. And now we're going to move on to the approval of the 2021 minutes from our meeting 1 year ago. So we have a motion to approve the minutes. And for a second, I see Jocelyn Cordell is seconding the motion. So please vote. We're going to activate the Zoom poll, which will close at the end of the meeting. You can vote yay, nay, or abstain on the minutes. And if you can't access the poll, please check in on the chat and we will try to help you. And the link to the minutes is also being posted in the chat and is available on the AGMM event registration page as well. At this point, I want to make some comments. First of all, as I said, I'm very excited to be here. I'm excited to see that we have many new and familiar faces that are here with us. We have, at this point, our new board is almost about 50% new members. So we have a lot of change there from the previous board. And as far as staff, we have a very stable staff, and we're happy that one of the staff members, Dan Baker here, has agreed to step up as the interim president and CEO. So today we're going to talk about moving ahead, and we're going to really press a reset button. Now, to do that, we also have to be cognizant of the legacy from which we come. And I want to mention one former CEO of NPCA, which is Chip Dunbach, who is you're going to hear from a little bit later. He was one of the CEOs in the 90s. One of the things he advocated for was for the first time that an RPCV was actually named as the director of the Peace Corps agency. I know he started off his term without a salary. NPCA was not in a great financial situation, so I'm sure he has a story about that. And I just want to tell you a little bit about that. Chick also mentioned our previous CEO, Glenn Blumhorst, and I'm just going to read what he said about Glenn. Glenn led us through the best years of NPCA by far, structurally, programmatically, and financially. The organization blossomed and advocacy for the Peace Corps became remarkably impressive. We became what the Peace Corps community should be, a dynamic network of skilled, compassionate, and dedicated people working together to make a positive difference in whatever ways we could. And I think what he said carries true then and now as far as how we're operating as an organization. And so I know a lot has been accomplished while Glenn was here in terms of fundraising, in terms of increased numbers of affiliate groups and many programs, working with the evacuation of Peace Corps volunteers, and also working on the Peace Corps Connect, our vision for the future. Now, I was originally recruited for the board by Glenn, and he had actually departed before I came onto the board. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't address the fact that there has been a lot of turmoil in terms of our association over the past 3 months or so. And many of you have expressed your very real concerns. Some of you feel alienated from the organization, and we do need to acknowledge that. But today, again, I want to say we want to press the reset button. And I'm here today to assure you and to demonstrate that we're going to move in a positive direction. So we need to develop some trust. And I think about one of the sayings from when the Soviets and the US would discuss arms negotiations, and the mantra was trust but verify. So I'm not just asking you to trust, but to actually watch and see what we are doing. Now, I'll mention several areas. Number one, in governance, we have actually appointed a subcommittee to look at the long-term stability of our association and how to have a better governance policy through the bylaws. But second, we can make a lot of important immediate changes without changing the bylaws. And one of the things we have to recognize is that all board members are equal. There is no insider group within the board. We need to clarify the roles and responsibilities of board members, staff members, and community. We have to have clear lines delineated. And we also need to find better ways to get more input from our broader community. And I know even in the first couple of weeks that I've been in this position that we have not yet succeeded in doing a good job of that, of getting input from all of our communities. And third, I think we need to recognize the great work that is being done by our staff. We're going to hear a lot later about the great advances in advocacy, but we also need to be more supportive of our staff. Now, I want to make very clear that we support gender equity and that we will not tolerate discrimination on gender, race, disability, or any other factor, including generational. I know there's some generational divides within our community. We need to address those as well. And we need to support anyone who is a victim of any type of situation like this. But I want to also comment on the fact that certain allegations were made during the past year. The previous board mounted a serious investigation, both on a legal level and on the level of the policies of NPCA, the higher standards. And there are allegations against the CEO and members of the staff, and they were all cleared by this investigation, both the CEO and the staff. And since that time, some of them have continued to be maligned and defamed. It affects them personally as well as affects the association. And we have a responsibility as a board to protect our staff. And also we need to protect our board from any inappropriate comments. As a peaceful organization, we really need to do much better. And number four is in terms of diversity and inclusiveness. And of course, as a Peace Corps organization, this is what we're all about. But we have formed a task force specifically dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, DEI. And it's a task force at this point, but we actually have a plan to make it a standing committee so that it's an ongoing issue which we're addressing on our school board, excuse me, on not the school board, I used to be on San Diego School Board, sorry, in this organization. And so the next area I want to mention is financial. We need to be open and transparent about our financial situation and very clear about how the money is spent that is donated. Now, today, you're going to hear the treasurer's report. This is a legally required report, and it is based on the audited 2021 financials, which has obviously happened a while before, but this needs to be reported at this point. But going forward, we need to provide more information that is helpful to our members in lay terms, and our CEO will be commenting on this. But as a new person coming on the board, I realized that the first step in terms of controlling our finances is to add on no new expenses. We need to be responsible. We're responsible for the long-term financial health of this organization. We cannot continue in business as usual in a financial sense when we're in this particular situation, which leads to the sixth point, which is a focus on fundraising. And focusing on fundraising is the responsibility of all of us, board members, staff members, affiliate groups, community members. One area we can see, for example, as I mentioned before, that our contributions are really helping is what we've been able to do with the staff that we have hired to advocate for improvements in the Peace Corps and the various things that you will hear about later. But we must be very careful during this final fourth quarter. This fourth quarter is critical to our organization to be able to continue the great work that we are doing. So we're going to reach out to all of our donors, everyone from the recently returned volunteer who can contribute a small amount to our Shrivell Circle members who have been more generously donating of their time and their treasure. And the seventh final area I want to mention is strengthening our affiliate groups. We have a great two people, both on the board and on the staff, working on this. There are amazing projects that you're going to hear about in terms of social action that is being taken by our affiliate groups. And also another area I hope our affiliate groups can help on, which the Peace Corps is very concerned about, is recruitment. And there's nobody who can do a better job of recruiting than our returned Peace Corps volunteers. Now, we have the previous board had commissioned consultants to look at our organization, which they recognize as a great organization with a wonderful purpose. But one of the things they said is that the board needs to get its house in order before bringing on a new CEO. And I would also say that we as a board need to get our act together in order to engender trust on the part of our donors. I'm optimistic that we can do this. I think we can do this if we're all united based on our Peace Corps ideals that we'll be talking about a little bit later. Now, as a psychologist, I look at what is the profile of a Peace Corps volunteer. And the things I thought of were empathy, compassion, and cultural sensitivity, as well as open-mindedness, critical thinking, and collaboration. And also, not to leave out, adventure and resilience. Now, we have returned Peace Corps volunteers who have excelled in the arts, in business, in education, in politics, and in the environment, in social justice, in so many areas, what these 240,000 persons have contributed to our country. And I think if we abide by these values, we're going to be able to proceed ahead very well in the future. And so I just thank you for this opportunity to address you. We have a lot of exciting things to show you what we're already doing and what we plan to do.